Aloha and welcome back to Movement Matters. I'm your host, Christine Lynders, physical therapist and board certified orthopedic clinical specialist. Are you working hard to get your recommended 10,000 steps a day? If so, terrific. You're helping your vital organs to stay functioning optimally. But you could be harming your muscles and joints, leading to injury and pain. Here's how in image number one. This is what we call the kinetic chain, and I got this from Musculoskeletal Key. And so what happens in the kinetic chain is when you are taking a step, your foot lands basically somewhere on the heel and rolls over to the ball of your foot. It pronates down and the arch flattens, and then your tibia, which is the shin bone, then rotates in, and then your femur rotates in, and it fires your glute muscles to stabilize your pelvis and your low back and the rest of your body on your leg. In this image, what you see is someone doing a single leg squat, similar to what you would be doing if you walk down a stair. And it's showing how the foot rolling in too much is causing the tibia, the shin bone, to roll in too much. The knee dives in as a result, which over time leads you to getting osteoarthritis, wear and tear, meniscal degeneration. And then the femur rolls in, the pelvis drops, and then your spine bends. So my concern as people are walking around getting their awesome 10,000 steps is that they're getting injuries such as bunion or big toe pain, plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, knee osteoarthritis, hip bursitis or pain, and low back pain. So this show is designed to help you identify your faulty biomechanics, and we're going to correct them so that you can enjoy walking or running or whatever you're doing outside in this pandemic without injury. So first, let's go to image number one and let's talk about bunions. This is actually me. And I solved my bunion on the right side where there's kind of a crooked line by doing certain exercises. And the left foot is fine. I've got no problem there, but I had some faulty mechanics on my right side from a back injury that made my leg weak. And pretty soon my big toe started to hurt and I looked down and that's what it looked like. So let's go to the next image where you'll see it looks straighter. I still have that arthritic bump because abnormal motion over time will cause arthritis and inflammation of the joint and wearing of that awesome cartilage that prevents us from having pain. So I straightened my toe out by doing exercises and doing the things in the video you're going to see next. If you have a painful bunion or big toe knuckle from running or playing beach volleyball, it's very important to restore the function. Two things you can do, many things you can do. You can start by putting a spacer in here if your toe has gotten too crowded over there. I've got some friends. Other things you can do are re-educate this muscle by moving your toe out to the side. When I first started doing this, I had to actually pick my toe up and put it there and stabilize it to activate this. You probably see that muscle bulge out right there. Relax it, push it out, hold it down, stabilize that. That's going to help correct the position of your toe, but you will need to put a spacer or something in there, cotton ball taped to one toe to stop the migration of the toe going in like that and getting this dislocation here. So out, move it out, hold it out, exercise it. Once you get it there and you can start moving it on your own out to the side like that, you can resist against your finger to really strengthen it. Again, you see it bulge out there. And of course, massaging this area to get some of the inflammation down in ice will help you. Hope that helps. Cannot emphasize enough how valuable that exercise and the massage is for getting rid of your bunion pain. But I want to let you know, getting that muscle to work for me probably 10 years ago was like watching grass grow. And I looked at my toe and said, move, and it didn't move. And then I helped it move and then held it. So all those things I did on myself. So please take it to heart. It may take you 6 months to be able to move it out like I did, or maybe it'll take you 2 weeks. I think it took me 2 weeks of doing it every day for a few minutes, frustratingly, till I was able to gain control of my muscles and solve my big toe problem. So please work on that. Now, moving up from the toe to the ankle, let's look at the next image where I show a picture of myself relatively normal in the position, and you'll see the heels are pretty much straight up and down. The Achilles tendon, that's that bulge above the ankle, straight up and down, kind of going straight up and down with my calf. If you held a pen there over the image on your screen, you would see that it's pretty straight up and down. My left side isn't so perfect. And in the next image, you'll see why. So this is what I notice in people when you come into the office and you have, let's say, severe osteoarthritis in your knee. And I had two people come in on Thursday that was partly the inspiration for the show that came in with severe knee pain. One of them was doing the walking with her spouse during the pandemic because she couldn't go to the gym. And the other one was just super active and she just did too much in one day. She went for 2 walks, did some gardening, and she said, I don't understand. I'm very active. I woke up the next day, I could barely bend my knee. And both of these people looked like that on one side when I watched them walk down the hall, the ankle collapsing inward. And if you remember the kinetic chain picture, when the ankle rolls in, it takes your shin bone with you, which twists at your knee. So if your shin bone is like this and your thigh bone is sitting like this, they kind of articulate here. When the shin bone moves because the foot's moving too much, your thigh bone is here moving straight forward. So your knee is doing this with every step, 10,000 steps a day, wearing away of that protective cartilage that prevents your bones from having pain. And so if you continue to do this over and over and over and twist at your knee, you get osteoarthritis. And both of these people who came in that day had full range of motion of their knee, but they had severe pain in their knee so much that they couldn't do their walking anymore. And it was limiting getting out of bed in the morning. So I point that out to you because I want you to look at your own foot. Have someone take a picture of you standing and see if you see like that last image where the ankle bone is bulging in on one side, and you can see it by those lines. And the only way you need to tell for yourself, I've been looking at this for years so I can identify it with one eye, but you just hold the pen up on the picture so that you can see if it lines up your heel with your calf, and you'll see if your ankle is bulging in. So that's one reason why you could be having pain or could lead you to pain while you're doing your walks. So let's go to the next video and show you what to do to help that. If you have plantar fasciitis, which is the painful condition right at the bottom of your foot here, the most likely cause is overpronation, and that's what happens when your arch collapses. And the reason why that happens is because of a tight calf. So what you want to make sure of is that you stretch the calf. When this calf is too tight and your ankle doesn't have enough range of motion to do this, then your arch will collapse and do this. So the number one thing you need to do to stretch the calf is to hold your arch up, don't let it collapse, point your foot in a straight line, put the other one in front, keeping the arch up and bending the knee. You might only go this far. So you can bend and do a dynamic stretch 10 times this way. But you do not want to let this arch collapse. You want to keep the arch up and stretch the ankle, not the arch. Then you need to bend your knee. Again, don't let the arch collapse. You can also roll your arch over a tennis ball, do some nice toe curls, scrunch the grass to strengthen your foot and get rid of your foot pain once and for all. I talk about plantar fasciitis in that video because the number one cause of someone getting plantar fasciitis, which is the painful bottom of your foot pain that often it strikes you when you first get out of bed in the morning and you're hobbling down the hall, but also gets worse with prolonged walking. The number one reason for a condition that you can get caused by that is tight calves. And so I'm always telling people to stretch their calves, and that's to increase your ankle range of motion. In that picture where you could see my ankle bulging inward, that happens over pronation. That arch dropping down happens when your ankle, the joint above, doesn't have enough range of motion to bend forward. So now you're walking and that shin bone needs to pass over the ankle all these steps, or you're walking up hills and the shin bone needs to pass over the ankle, but your ankle doesn't have enough range of motion. So now the foot arch has to collapse, and now your toe starts to migrate in, and you start getting that bunion where the big toe migrates in. So I talk about plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis with those stretches that I just showed you, but it's also that overpronation, a huge contributor to osteoarthritis of the knee, because when the arch collapses, the shin bone goes in and it twists the knee like I was showing you earlier. So I don't think I can say this enough. I know because it's complicated. Biomechanics, if you're just a layperson and not a physical therapist or chiropractor or a doctor or someone who's studied all these things, but it is so important how when your foot contacts the ground, it doesn't collapse inward like that. Another problem with the foot collapsing inward like that, or that arch bulge on the center, or the bunion going in and not giving you stability, is that it doesn't turn on your hip muscle. So Gary Gray, he's a great PT, and he says you need to bring your butt to the party. And in order for that to happen, your foot needs to pronate just enough and your shin needs to rotate just enough so your femur rotates in the thigh bone just enough to fire the glutes. But if your foot is collapsed and your arch is collapsed and you're landing that way, that motion from landing to pronation doesn't occur and it doesn't turn on your butt. So that's why I talk about the previous video, doing toe curls, curl your toe, stretch your calf with your arch held up so that you can get the ankle range of motion needed so you don't have to land with your arch collapsed. So let's go to the single leg squat. This is a video that shows that picture of the knee diving in that we started the show off with right now. I'm going to show you what the proper alignment is for a single leg squat, and then we're going to go through some of the variations that I'll see that can lead you to injury just from walking. So to do a proper single leg squat, we'll look at this leg here. You will put one leg in the air, the pelvis will be level, and you will bend down, and everything will stay in alignment. Where an improper one would be is if you do the single leg squat and you see your trunk starting to lean this way, or the shoulder going out this way, while the other side is perfectly straight up and down. Another one that, let me see if I can go back a little bit further so you can see, is if you see hip dropping here, like you go to a squat and your hip drops. Like it looks like you're reaching for a bottom stair, and on the other side, the pelvis stays level. And a third one is if the knee dives in. You do a single leg squat, that's perfect. Single leg squat, knee dives in. Single leg squat, knee dives in. So I know that's a lot of information, and how you need to figure this out on yourself is look in the mirror and rewatch this video where you can see, like, my t-shirt is a straight line across my waist, and that's something that helps me to visualize wrinkles in one side of the t-shirt that indicate a hip dropping down. Or then I look at the pelvis area and see if I see creases, and also at the knee too. So I know it's hard to see the knee in that video. So let's roll to the next video where you can see the knee diving in more. So we have a question from the viewer. It's, when I walk, I always bang into furniture and stubbing my toes. Do you think this has something to do with my legs or feet being misaligned? That's interesting. That's a great question. That's kind of difficult to answer, actually, because if you're banging into things when you're walking, you're either too close to them or you may be losing your balance. Some people have this side to side sway or waddle where their trunk goes back and forth, not to dizzy you like mine is doing right now. And that's because they don't have the hip muscle firing to stabilize their pelvis and their spine and their trunk on their legs. So they tend to rotate over the side that they stand on, and then they put the other leg down, and then they rotate over. So it may be that your hip is weak, which cues me up for the next video. We won't go there yet. Or that your feet could be turned out and you could be stubbing your toes. So, two things. Check to see if you're too close to the furniture, and also maybe walk towards the mirror and see if you notice that your trunk is not staying, again, that pen in the straight line. You're tipping outside of your pelvis when you walk. So if you are swaying side to side, the next video is going to show you how to fire up your glutes to stop that from happening. To strengthen the gluteus medius, to give you stability on one leg and prevent that knee from dropping in, and to prevent your hip from dropping, you're going to put a band around your ankles, pull your toes up, squeeze your buns tight, slide your legs apart. You're going to do 10 times. Slide your legs apart. Make sure you're pushing down and not lifting. At the same time, that gives you stability in your pelvis. After you do 10, now you're going to have to keep yourself stable on one leg. Squeeze your buns, toes up, push down, slide the right one out. Make sure you keep that foot pointed straight and not turning it out here. You want to get a certain muscle. Hold this leg still. Slide this out 10 times, and you're going to repeat. Toes up, buns tight, push down, slide out. I want to turn out a little bit, but that's not right. You got to do that, just like that. Enjoy. This is one of my most favorite exercises to do for so many things. Everything that we've talked about this far, as well as low back pain. And the reason why you hear me repeat toes up, buns tight, push down and slide, is because when you do that, you also activate your multifidus muscles, the deepest back muscles, which help to stabilize your spine. And if you lift your leg, if you unweight your leg and you're not purposefully pushing down into the floor or the bed or whatever surface you're on, you are activating the front hip muscles, your hip flexors, which attach to your spine, the ones that we use when we walk all day forward. What we want to engage is we want to bring our butt to the party, right? Remember Gary Gray? Push down, engage the gluteus medius. That is the muscle that is responsible when you stand on one leg for keeping your pelvis level. And that goes to helping with balance, just like our great viewer who sent that question. If you don't have proper balance and your leg is not stable when you are on one leg, as happens when you lift one foot during walking, you will sway and you need your gluteus medius to stabilize you there. So do that exercise. You can do them at the same time like I showed originally. That stabilizes and keeps your pelvis level. And then work to doing 3 sets of 10. Do your right leg first, then do your left leg 10, 10, back and forth. You will feel a burn. I don't have a video of a progression, but the progression would just be to put a band around your ankles and walk sideways, like wide step, like a crab goes sideways up and down your hallway. So now let's go to the next video where I show how to strengthen the hip rotator. You're also going to want to work the hip rotators to control the rotation of your femur so that knee doesn't dive in. And you do that by finding your neutral spine, suck your stomach in, open up your knees, open up your knees. This one's a high repetition exercise. You can also do a bridge, lift your buns in the air, open up your knees, and lay on your side. Same thing, open up your knees to strengthen those rotators to keep your femur in line while you do the single leg squat. These exercises are fantastic. And the reason why I show you images and videos of you doing them on your back or on your side is because when you're on your back, it's easier. But also if you're suffering from low back pain, being on your back in your neutral position there to strengthen your hip muscles is very safe for your back. And the reason why I show you laying on your side is because now you're adding resistance with a band plus gravity. So it's more taxing on the hip muscle. Now, I want to let you know too, if you don't have a band, you don't need to use a band if you're on your side because you just have to do more repetitions until your buns get tired. So those are important. Now let's just go back to that first image because I want to show you why I showed you those clamshells, those hip rotation exercises. And that's because when you see on the first image, the arrow on the thigh bone going inward toward the other leg, that's your femur rotating inward too much. And we want to stop your knee from hurting and we want to stop your pelvis from dropping. And then you want to stop your back from hurting while you're getting your 10,000 steps or while you're running outside. And so that clamshell is working on the rotators of the hip that help stabilize that femur bone from rolling in. Many people who are runners have suffered from what they call sciatic or piriformis syndrome. And what happens then is if you have, let's say, a foot that's unstable and it's going, or a bunion, and your foot is rotating in, that hip rotator, the one that I showed you doing the clamshell, gets tired and it's overused and it's constantly trying to stop that femur bone, the thigh bone, from rotating in over and over and over that foot arch that's collapsing because your calves are tight. And so we want to strengthen because it needs to be exercised to tolerate the demands of what you want to do. Now, what you want to do might be just walking down the street or going for a walk around the block here, or maybe it's getting your 10,000 steps, or maybe it's walking 5 miles a day with your friend or your family. So you want to make sure your muscles have the proper endurance for the activity that you want to do so you don't end up with pain, which is just cumulative stress over time. And finally, your body says, enough, I can't have it. So this show for you today was designed to help you to identify, do you have a bunion that's going in? Is your arch collapsing too much? Is your ankle stiff? Do you need to stretch your calves with your arch up to save yourself from having knee pain? And if you do have knee pain, make sure you stretch your calves. Make sure you strengthen your buns, bring your buns to the party, and massage your knee as well. And don't forget to ice, because I did have several patients recently in the last 7 days that came in with pain in a different part of their body. And I asked, have you iced? And they said, oh no, sometimes you just don't think of it and you need to be told. So as a wrap up for this show, I want everyone to enjoy their outdoor activity and helping their bodies be more healthy, your vital organs be more healthy to last us all longer, here's a few things that you can do to help your body get out of pain. And it doesn't have to be perfect, only better. Just remember, life is better when you listen to your physical therapist. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, ThinkTech Hawaii, for allowing us to be here with you today. Aloha.